Shut up and sit down.
Oh, hello and welcome to a North Wales side-by-side video. I've been thinking over the last few days. Scary thought, me thinking about something. I've been wondering what I could compare the GR Sport Yaris 2 with an older car, but a special older car. And I've come to the conclusion there is only one car that follows the same principles to get where it's got to that Toyota have copied to get the GR Sport. And the car I've decided on is the Mark 1 Golf GTI. I'll explain why I've come to that conclusion. Volkswagen made the Golf as a replacement for the Beetle, which was meant to be front wheel drive, 2-door, 4-door hatchback, as an everyday car for everybody to be able to afford, for everybody to buy. But there was nothing special in the lineup. They were bloody good cars, like the Yaris is now. Base model, design, luxury model, the XL. Volkswagen did pretty much the same. Base model, middle spec, top spec. So you could compare them to Icon Design XL. But in the old days it was like you get a 1.1 engine, a 1.3, 1.5, depending on the spec you bought. That's not something Toyota have done. They've used the same engine right across the board because it makes sense to do it. But Volkswagen decided we've got an absolute cracking car, like Toyota decided with the Yaris. They've got an amazing car that people are buying, but they need something a little bit special in the lineup that's not going to cost us that much more to build, but we've got to make it different enough to be special. And that was the formula that Volkswagen chose to use with the Golf. And the way Volkswagen did it was they used a specific engine. It was a 1.6 with the EG engine code, and it was a short stroke, big bore, really special engine. Forged crank, forged rods, forged pistons, slightly bigger valves, slightly hotter camshaft, and they put fuel injection on it and gave it a 5-speed gearbox. So they went from about 90 horsepower with carburettor to 112. Doesn't sound a lot, does it? 22 horsepower difference. But they gave it a maximum speed of 115 miles an hour. That was quick in its day. That was very quick. They also changed the suspension. Different shock absorbers, different springs, different anti-roll bars. They put a set of bucket seats in it. They put some different trim on it. And Toyota have gone exactly the same way with the GR Sport. except for the engine. They've used the same 1.5 hybrid engine that every Yaris gets. Because why fix what isn't broken? Because that 1.5 engine is a superb, it's a work of art. It's an absolutely cracking engine. Really, really good modern engine. But like Volkswagen did, Toyota have given the GR Sport different shock absorbers, different springs, and they've tuned the suspension different to every other Yaris available, which is what Volkswagen did with the Mark 1 Golf GTI. They tuned everything different. So that was the first reason why I've come to that conclusion. They've made it different enough to be special, but it's still based on a production car, so it keeps costs down. Then Volkswagen put the bucket seats in. Toyota have done the same. They've used cloth trim, like Volkswagen did. So there's another similarity. Nice comfy bucket seats, both trimmed in cloth. They upgraded the brakes on the front of the GTI Golf by putting vented discs on the front. But they didn't put discs on the back on the Mark 1s, they were always drums. Toyota really haven't played with the brakes because they don't need to, because modern brakes are so good. We got vented discs on the front, solid discs on the back. Again, we're nearly 50 years on. Technology's moved on. Toyota have gone one stage further than Volkswagen did. They've stiffened the body shell to make the car handle better. Again, modern construction, modern body shells are a lot stiffer, modern cars handle a lot better. The Golf weighed, what, 800 kilos? We've got a car that weighs probably 400 kilos more. But our Yaris are quicker accelerating, we've got a quicker top speed, we've got better fuel economy, we've got better brakes, and the cars are better built. But again, that's the move on. 50 years difference in car design and car construction and materials. So you can now make a car that's heavier with nearly the same power, but still make it accelerate quicker and go faster. That's why I think, and that's my conclusion, why I've compared the GR Sport to a Mark 1 Golf GTI. They're both production cars, but they're both special enough in the range to make them. And the Golf particularly, it is a proper classic car, and they're worth a lot of money. And I can actually see the GR Sport Yaris being in that ilk in 20 years time. It's not a run-of-the-mill standard Yaris. It's special enough where I think it's going to be a future classic. A bit like our two-door GRs. Without the Yaris 4-door, you wouldn't have two-door GR Yaris. It would never have existed. needed the 4-door so they could produce the 2-door to go rallying. So that is my conclusion on why the GR Yaris Sport is so special. It's built with the same principles and the same ideas that Volkswagen had nearly 50 years ago to make something that would become a future classic. I don't think they realised when they built it was going to become a future classic and become so popular. I think Toyota have hit it on the nail and done exactly the same, using the same recipe of production car and just going far enough to make the car different enough to be special enough to become a future classic. I'd like to know what you think about my conclusions and how I've got to what I've got to with my thoughts on the comparison between Mark 1 Golf GTI and GR Yaris Sport, because I think it's the closest car in existence today that you could compare it to. There isn't another manufacturer out there that makes something like these GR Sports, that they've gone far enough for them to be a very, very special car. And at the moment, I think the GR Sport is overlooked. People don't look at it hard enough. They just see a Yaris with a GR badge on it and go, it's just another hybrid. They really need to look at the specs of the car to realise how much Toyota have changed on this car to make it totally different from any other Yaris in the 4-door range. And that is why it makes it a good comparison to the Mark 1 Golf. If you totally disagree with me, please tell me in the comments. If you like the analogy of comparison Mark 1 Golf, GR Sport Yaris, put it in the comments. Because I've thought about what can I compare it to, and it was the only car I could come up with. The original GTI, the first GTI basically, the first pocket rocket to come from a mainstream manufacturer. And every other GTI ever since, or XR3i or ST Fiesta or whatever, XR2, whatever you want to think about, all they've ever done is copy the recipe that Volkswagen created back in 1974. And manufacturers are still doing it today, but they're not going far enough. All their little pocket rockets, all they're doing is giving them a lot of power, stiffer suspension, but they're using standard body shells. Toyota don't do it that way. GR Sport body shell is crazy stiff compared to a standard 4-door Yaris body shell. Toyota have gone far enough strengthening this shell with braces all over the place to make it a better car, a more solid car and a better handling car than any other Yaris in the range. They haven't given it any more performance because they didn't need to. In everyday driving, these things are phenomenally quick. They are a really, really good car. All the Yarises are good, but the GR Sport is different. It's a different driving experience. If you've driven a base model Yaris, Icon Design, or driven an XL, and then you jump in a GR Sport, you will understand where I'm coming from. The fit, the finish, the ride is totally different to any other Yaris in the range. They are that special. Like the Mark 1 Golf GTI was, it was that special. Hope you've enjoyed this little video. If you have, please click thumbs up. And please, if you've got any ideas what you think is a better car to compare the GR Sport to, let me know in the comments. And please consider subscribing to the channel. And thanks for watching and listening.